Good evening. This is Ricardo Rivas reporting to you from Pomperog High School. You are about to witness a true horror that overtakes and destroys this nation's forests. Nowhere is this monster more prevalent than in Connecticut. It is not only possible, but extremely likely that it resides in your very own backyard. Is it coyotes? Wasps? No, this is something far more sinister, and it's spreading Lyme disease to innocent victims every day. What these kids don't know is that a silent killer stalks them and their well-being. The Japanese barberry, 2 to 8 feet tall, small, rounded leaves, straight thorns, and red berries distinguish this true monster from its other invasive brethren, such as the multiflora rose and the Asian bittersweet. Arriving in Boston in 1875, the plant and its aftermath have spread rapidly, and the Japanese barberry is currently listed as an invasive species in 20 of our United States.
But what does the bad news barberry have to do with Lyme disease? Why should we be concerned about this invasive species? In a 2010 study conducted by Dr. Scott Williams and Jeffrey Ward of the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, they found that there were 210 black-legged ticks per acre in the moist area where Japanese barberry was growing, 92 per acre where the barberry was removed, and 35 per acre where there was no barberry to begin with. Among those ticks, there was a 4 to 8 times higher presence of Lyme disease. If Lyme disease doesn't scare you enough to become interested in the Japanese barberry, then perhaps the destruction of our native plants will bother you. It has been shown that this invasive species alters the pH and nitrification rates of the soil, thus allowing it to thrive while other plants aren't so lucky. The producers that are native to this area need a specific rate of nitrification. When that rate is altered by the presence of barberry, local plants find it more difficult to grow. We asked Mr. Ken Elkins of the Bend to the River Audubon Center about the effects of barberry on other native plants.
It's very dramatic that you can go just inches away from the barberry and other things will grow just fine again. That it's right there because the canopy of the little barberry bush is leaning over, and as soon as a branch touches the ground, it can then root itself and become a new shrub. So that's part of it, but also it's such a fine little umbrella that it creates that it's more moist under there. It has much the heat, but the moisture content is what makes the more attractive for worms and for ticks.
This contributes to the barberry's abundance and growth. Our class investigated the wooded area around Pomperog High School, which has an abundance of barberry. We tested the soil pH near barberry and compared it to the pH of the soil away from the barberry. We found that the average pH near barberry was 7.0, while the average pH away from barberry was only 6.3. This may not seem like much, but even a small change in pH levels can cause drastic changes in the surrounding ecosystem. So now that you know about the dangers of this invasive plant, you may be wondering what you can do to solve this problem. In forested areas overcome by Japanese barberry, managers are using controlled fires, propane torches, and bulldozers to remove large infestations. We interviewed Mr. Thomas Worthley, the assistant extension professor at the University of Connecticut.
If you have an area that's totally covered with Japanese barberry, and you were to do something like some people advocate, go along and rip it up by the roots, well, then you'd leave a lot of exposed soil there. That would just be an open invitation for something else to come and colonize the site. And we can't always guarantee that that what would colonize that site would be a native species. And so the extra step associated with controlling the barberry is that we'd like to try to see it replaced with something native instead.
Use alternative native species such as the American barberry and the bayberry. Remember to help your neighbor to do the same. Also, don't buy Japanese barberry. As you can see, on Google Shopping, there is no shortage for sale as an ornamental plant. The best solution is to first make sure our community is aware of this problem. In a survey conducted by our class, we asked random bystanders if they have ever heard of the barberry. 94% responded
no.
No, I don't.
Barbarian?
Next, we asked them if they knew that the barberry was harming the environment, and would they be interested in learning about it. They responded,
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
In fact, a resounding 3/4 of the people said yes. Last but not least, the problems associated with the bad news barberry are too big for us at Pomperog to handle alone. We need to take drastic measures for the sake of our health and the future of our local environment.